Welcome everyone to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today spawning the east side of the map playing in purple. We've got Corvinus 1 playing as the Japanese, and his opponent on the west side of the map playing in red. We've got Zerty playing as the Jushi's Legacy. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. That is the map for today, and featuring of course two civilizations as part of the Sultan's Ascent DLC. An interesting matchup in many ways. I think of course the Jushi Legacy probably heralded as one of the best civilizations at the moment. Very strong in terms of economy. Song Dynasty gives them a lot of bonuses. And while the Japanese, I think have been a lot of a favourite civilization for a lot of people. Japanese have got some really nice unique units, nice unique mechanics. Of course, don't forget that, well, they've got some unique build orders as well. Take a look at this, a lot of villages on stone. There's going to be a second town centre, and I wonder whether also Corvinus will also be adding in the Daimyo Manor into that. Now, actually, it might not even be for a second town centre. We'll actually have to see how much stone he gathers. You can be very flexible with the Japanese. Sometimes you play just one town centre. You go for the Daimyo Manor upgrade and get those nice bonuses you get. You know, free villagers, well, one free villager, extra HP, an extra arrow stat, and also increasing the gather rate of the farms by 25% under the influence of that town centre is very strong. But Jushi Legacy going up against the Japanese, it's talking about strong economy. I mean, Jushi Legacy have got probably one of the strongest economies in the game. The factor in that they can get a second town centre very quickly. But yeah. Alright, well, I hope you guys have been enjoying the content so far on Twitch and on YouTube. So if you guys have been watching on the YouTube side, I've been streaming on Twitch recently and I'm streaming today. So everyone in the chat, welcome. Hope you guys are all doing very well. And I'm excited to showcase this one because Corvinus and Zerty, obviously two very strong players. And two strong civilizations. I do wonder how the Japanese will address the situation, right? Because it's often the case that Jushi Legacy will do their thing. They're going to be booming away. Very often go for a second town centre, whilst they do actually have some potential to be aggressive in the Feudal Age as well. They can actually look to get, you know, some of these Song Dynasty units that we associate with the Chinese. The Chukunu, they don't even have to have the Song Dynasty, the Jushi Legacy, to get that unit. And they do have access to the early Palace Guard as well. But often we do see that kind of booming approach, second town centre, to really escalate their economy. And then work from there. The Japanese have some flexibility, as we say, but they may have to just a little bit be more reactive as to how the Jushi Legacy play. But it does look like it's going to be either a second town centre play. It's a bit too early to tell, you know, because it could just pull off villages once it gets a... In fact, no, he's actually got the Daimyo Manor already. So Dark Age Daimyo Manor. And he's going to go for that second town centre. It's quite a nice build, I've got to say. It gets that free villager, which is very, very cool. And it's going to be the Meditation Gardens for Jushi Legacy. Getting to that next stage, and I would imagine Song Dynasty will be coming in shortly after. Hello, Zathras. Thank you for the bits once again. Appreciate it. It's kind of a bit of a habit. I really appreciate the support though. It's super appreciated. All right, well that Meditation Gardens is going to be going up pretty quickly, and that's going to get some nice resources for Jushi Legacy. Going to get some gold, food, mostly, yeah, just those two resources to be honest. Didn't want to venture out anywhere else, and wants to get that built ASAP. And it is going to be the Cura storehouse for the Japanese. Kind of expected. We don't really see the Kaka Township all that often. And so this is going to be a nice way to play the game, I think. Because, of course, the Shinobi, unfortunately, don't get all that much value these days on open maps like this. We tend to get them on sort of hybrid maps instead. It just feels like sometimes the Cura storehouse, what it gives the Japanese is just a little bit too hard to pass, to you know, let go, you know. The fact that you get free farms and... Garrisonable slots as well in case it gets raided. Has been dropped a little bit. It used to be 8 slots. Has now dropped down to 4. But certainly collected that stone nice and early. So going to be getting the wood next for that second town centre. But think about the mid to late game and how this one pans out. Jushi Legacy obviously will be booming up, getting a strong economy. Japanese technically will be matching that. Factor in the fact the Song Dynasty for Jushi Legacy doesn't make their town centres work any faster. So the Japanese actually may be able to keep on par with it if it is just 2 town centers versus 2 town centers. We'll have to see what it decides to do. And it's going to be the Jiangnan Tower getting that Song Dynasty at a pretty good time. One thing I do love about the Japanese is their ability to spam out units sort of around the 15-20 minute mark, depending on how they play. Do they go for the second town center? Even with the second town center, to be fair, they can spam out a lot of units quite quickly. It can be quite hard to stop the flood of those Japanese units. Maybe Jushi Legacy will be well equipped to do that. We'll have to see. Going to be going for that stone for that second town center. Looks like the second town center probably will be coming in a little bit quicker for Corvinus, but factor in it was a bit cheaper for Jushi's Legacy and did get that Song Dynasty. Had to effectively get the two landmarks, but they were a bit cheaper. So the Tang Dynasty, which is the first dynasty for the Jushi Legacy, does get that tech up a little bit cheaper. Of course, now with that Song Dynasty, we'll lose that bonus, but the non-production buildings rather, will be cheaper in terms of wood, and it gives them a really nice farming transition later on in the game when it's needed, which is actually quite commonly done by Jushi Legacy, considering the fact they do often play a condensed economy, having that second town center investment. But it'll be exciting to see if he does venture out, because of course the Japanese have invested in a second town center themselves. Getting that second town center on the berries and the gold. We'll be protecting that key economy. I love this play, by the way, because the two town centers is really going to sandwich the farming economy, and it allows Corvinus to be pretty greedy here if he wants to be. Looks like he's going to go for a fast castle behind this, because a lot of villages directly on gold. Now, fast castle is actually kind of a nice situation for the Japanese, considering that they get the floating gate landmark. It's very commonly chosen, right? And they'll get a Shinto priest pretty much, pretty quickly. They'll get the Yorishiro, which they can put in certain buildings, but also pick up the relics afterwards. In any case, second town center goes up for Zerty on the deer camp, and the deer is such a good influx of food. It's so strong how much food you can get in so quickly. I wonder if he went for survival techniques. We don't see it all that often, but he has actually done it. So survival techniques are getting that food even quicker, supplying the Jushi Legacy economy with the capabilities of producing those villagers from both town centers. And you can see the characteristic play for the Jushi Legacy, getting those walls up pretty quickly. Very cheap investment in palisades. And will protect him against a lot of raiding that potentially might happen. Now, what's actually interesting, and I wonder about the situation, right? Because we do often see villagers not going onto the farms that have spawned, but I just wonder whether it's actually worth picking off villagers from the sheep there to go to farms, because effectively it's food here that's kind of free, kind of wasting away when you factor in that the sheep would be taking a little bit slower. If you do move the villagers out there. And of course, don't forget, you've got the 25% buffering on the Kura storehouse because of the Daimyo Manor. Walling up down in the south as well. So I'll have to say, by the way, it's a bit slower opening to this game, and it does mean, though, it's probably going to be coming with a lot of military fights in the mid to late game. That's one of the things I love about Age of Empires, by the way. A lot of people who do like RTS, real-time strategy games in general, who feel like maybe it's a bit slow to get going at times. Well, that might be true, but in those sorts of games, what you'll commonly find is that in the mid-game, in the late game, it tends to be a bit madness. It tends to be a bit of madness because there's a lot of units floating around, running around. Because the booming approach means that it is a bit quiet in the early game, but it's all going to be becoming a lot louder later on because of that. So in the end, you're going to get your action. It's just about when and how much. But it's going to happen. Bear in mind the farmhouses do actually act as drop-off points, so it does increase a bit of efficiency to get them around the food sources. And now has moved out to farms. In the south, Scout's just spotting their second town centre, does manage to get out of there, barely alive, 15 HP on left on that, but will heal up again when they do retreat. And now is the Shaolin Monastery, so it's going to be a semi-fastish castle as well for Jushi's Legacy, as you'd kind of expect. Looks like actually Jushi Legacy is going to get there a little bit quicker than the Japanese. Wheelbarrow coming in as well. Most of the eco upgrades have not been picked here by Corvinus. Just focusing on that castle age. He's got enough gold, not quite enough food just yet, but a couple more drop-offs and he should be fine. And he's going to look to get some palisade walls himself. So it certainly looks like both players are going to be sitting at home, camping a bit. Maybe coming together in mid-game, bashing their heads against each other as time goes. There's that castle age now. We'll be able to produce the Shaolin Monk, which is such a great unit, by the way. Only costs food, but not only that, it's actually pretty strong in combat. Like, there aren't that many religious units that are directly strong in combat, but the Shaolin monks, they can fight. They can also heal themselves rather than heal others. But it's a weird mechanic, but it's such a kind of cool unit to have, to fight and then run away and heal yourself up. Saying that, though, there have been recent changes in the recent patch, of course, so things have changed with these two civilizations. The Jushi Legacy, the Shaolin Monk itself, has been nerfed. But also, factor in the Japanese, they don't actually get as many Yorishiro as they once used to. It used to be unlimited, actually, but now I think there's only 4 or 5 of them that they managed to get. So things have changed slightly. Also, by the way, considering the fact that a Ozutsu in the late game. They've lost a couple of armor points as well, so I think it's definitely a welcomed nerf because the Japanese were incredibly strong in the late game when they go up with the Tanegashima gunsmith. I'm pretty excited to see the new Japanese late game. How well do they fare with the nerfed Ozutsu? Time will tell. And we may not even get to the Imperial Age, but I suspect we will in this kind of game. You kind of expect it. Scout is going to be picked apart. I think the Scout probably will go down because considering the Horseman does move faster. Well, it could just about get into the Palisade walls. We have to see. In any case, in terms of relics, well, we see the Yorishiro. Where's it gone? Where's he put it? It's quite common you put it in the forge to get gold, but it looks like it's actually going to go for the production building. Maybe the stable to get the Onimusha out, or, well, stable units rather, the Mounted Samurai in particular. And that's going to be increasing the production speed quite significantly, 200%. That's a drastic amount. The Scout just about gets within the Palisade gates, safe and sound. 6 HP left, calculated there by Corvinus. And it's kind of exciting to see this aggressive play, right? We don't often see the Yorishiro being deposited in production buildings. But first relic will be picked up by Zerty, who I don't actually know who it is, by the way. It might be Zerton. It kind of sounds similar. Probably is, but we're not entirely sure. Now, the Shaolin Monk going to be trying to escape there. I don't think he's going to make it out in time when you factor in the Mounted Samurai coming in from the north and the Onimusha coming from the south. A couple of units. A couple of horsemen for Jushi Legacy. Lancers, really. Trying to save him. I don't think he'll get away with that. We'll go down. On top of the Sacred Site, no less. And Palisade Walls, Corvinus is trying to get them up. Does have a Shinto priest of his own. He might actually be able to snag this relic, which would be kind of significant because it was kind of quite close to getting home there for Zerty. But with the number of units, it's actually looking good. I think the fact that he put the Yorishiro in the stable actually has really helped him in this regard. Because now these Mounted Samurai come out in only 12 seconds. Considering the strength of unit, that's pretty fast. There's a Shinto priest picking up the first relic, but behind this, because Zerty did go to that next stage quicker, he's actually going to get 3 of the 5 relics. That's a really good haul. Both players pretty neck and neck on village account, but I don't think it's really a fight that Zerty can take. You can feel like Corvinus has a little bit of an advantage in the military, especially when you factor in he's got the Uma Bannerman, increasing the damage output by 15%. So the engagements aren't going to be favourable by Zerty. He's going to take the fight no less, and the Onimusha will be getting some good damage on the Lancers, kind of like crossbows on horseback. Mounted Samurai going to dive on top of that. And it should be good cleanup. I mean, Zerty's going to try and thin out the number of Onimusha as much as possible. That one survives on 2 HP, and if Corvinus brings that one back home to heal up, damage has been done. Back at home, just walling up the north side, looking to protect the wood lines at the deer camp in particular. Is looking to get a farmhouse there as well. Transitioning over to food. One thing I love about the Japanese, by the way, the free farms, it makes the food issue so much more simpler. It makes it a much less hard to transition. It looks like he's going to be adding some ranged units as well. Adding a couple of these archery ranges. Quite a lot of them, I've got to say. Holy moly. He's sprinkling in a couple of crossbow, it seems. Maybe adding a couple of chikunu. Mixing it up a little bit. Mounted Samurai for Corvinus. Going to head back home. Just for now. Looking to get all those upgrades. We do see an upgrade coming in for the veterancy of the Samurai. There's no barracks. Wait, was that Samurai? I don't think that could have been. There's no barracks. Oh, there is barracks. It was indeed, yeah. My eyes didn't deceive me. Well, it did in some ways. Interesting you got that, actually. Because he hasn't actually got any Samurai just yet. But might be something he keeps in his armory. Because, of course, the Japanese do get incredibly strong infantry. It's one of the things I love about them, actually. Also getting a dachi, so there's definitely going to be a tech switch at some point. Equipping the Samurai with a longer sword. Dealing +4 damage against infantry. So that'll be really good against the infantry that, well, Jushi Legacy are starting to give. But take a look at this. He's actually keeping it back home. He's not telegraphing it, right? Because Corvinus is aware about the heavily armoured lancers and horsemen. He's not aware of those infantry just yet. That might change, though. Going to be getting Iron Undermesh 30. That'll help him against the Onimusha slightly. What I love about the Samurai, by the way, is the shield on top of them. Negates the first attack they get, whether it's ranged or melee. It's incredibly strong. Can really turn the fight in one direction. Does engage in the stealth forest. He spots it. I don't think the outpost is going to go up. It's going to be a fight favourable for Corvin. He's going to push it away, and Zerty He's going to head back home, rightly so. It's the right decision. Villager will be slain on that outpost building it. I'm not sure if the outpost goes up in time. Don't think it will. No, it won't. The Uma Bannerman leading the charge. Just such a great unit. Oh, manages to... No, thought it managed to survive, but didn't quite. Crossbows picked them off, and the hand has been revealed, though, so Corvinus is aware of the situation now. Might be thinking about getting a mangonel or two, maybe some ranged units of his own. Certainly going to have to find a way to address the crossbowmen and the Chickanoo. Sprinkling in a couple of horsemen might be an option. Both players actually on equal villager count, but bear in mind that the 3 relics in Fiducia Legacy, just a little bit extra gold coming in because of that. Looking to get the sacred site sorted as well with the outpost going up. Going to be getting a spring on replacement and maybe a fortification. We'll have to see if he actually commits to that. But it's a nice touch, right? Because if he gets the sacred sites, not only be a nice mid-map objective, but it's a potential way to win the game. I think it's notoriously difficult to do that against the Japanese, though, considering their ability just to spam out units. I don't think I've seen that many sacred site victories against the Japanese, but hey, it's the first time for everything. Does now have the Daimyo Palace, by the way, so the farms now here will be 50% extra harvest rate, which is incredibly strong. That's a lot of units, though, building up for Zerty. Might be expecting a fight soon. Corvinus going down the south. Of course, he did spot the outpost going up earlier, and he doesn't want that to solidify. Going to take the engagement. Another outpost is denied. Now, this is an interesting decision point for Zerty. Does he actually look to try and take this apart? Does he try and engage it? Or does he go for Corvinus' base, which is largely unprotected right now? Bear in mind, he's actually got a lot of production, which the Yorishiro have been deposited in. That's going to be a very fast production speed, I've got to say. It's got a lot of economy behind it as well. A decent amount of banked up resources. Quite a bit of stone, so Corvinus might be thinking about getting a keep or two in the mid-map, and it might be a good opportunity, because it does feel like Zerty's asserting his dominance on the map, just for now. At least in terms of static defenses, he's got the sacred site in the north, one more in the south, one more in the middle, up for grabs. But take a look at the miniature count now. Corvinus, we said earlier how the Japanese sort of 12-15 minutes, a little bit delayed, but he did get second town center, to be fair, so 17-18 minutes. He's really starting to pump out heavily, and it's reflected in the unit count. 80 military units versus 52. The Japanese always have this ability. It's something that Zerty's got to be careful about. Whilst he has had a bit of a free reign in the middle of the map for some time, that might be something that changes soon. He's definitely moving in that direction. Well, looks like Corvinus, he's had enough of waiting around. He's going to apply some pressure. The concern for him is he's kind of committing, because the units from the north for Zerty are going to wrap around and stop the escape. So it feels like Corvinus now needs to do some damage, right? He's committed. And now he's committed, doesn't really feel like he's got an easy escape route, right? Because the rest of the base is walled up. The one way he came in, well, he's not going to be able to get back out, because Zerty's units will be guarding it. But he does have an opportunity to do some critical damage. And the good thing for Corvinus, if he does do a lot of damage, he should have some resources banked up. Well, he's continuing to produce, right? That's the key bit of detail. He's constantly producing at a very fast rate, banking up resources, banking up units back home, just in case, well, I say just in case, these units will fall. It's just a case of how much damage you can do. There is a keep, though, nicely on that farming transition, a massive farming transition on the granaries on the back. And so that keep is actually really clutch. It's going to keep a lot of the economy safe. And now the army comes in for Zerty with a couple of Nesta Bees, focusing on the infantry army, and that's actually kind of a problem for Corvinus. The Nesta Bee is going to get so much value against infantry. A couple of bannermen there. Katana bannermen, which if they engage in the fight, could help, but yeah, it's not getting all that much. He's got a couple of villages, 18 so far, is keeping a lot of idle time. I mean, to be fair, it's doing damage. Zerty's got to get over there fast before his villagers are slain. Only 15 spots garrisonable inside that keep. The rest of the villagers are going to be going down pretty quickly. The big concern, though, for Corvinus is, and the big question is, has he had enough damage output to justify this dive? Because he's about to lose all his military. Villagers come back out to work a little bit prematurely, by the way. That's a bit rough. Lost a couple of villages that maybe he didn't have to. It does feel like he's done a lot of damage. 30 villagers. That's a big, big scalp there, because now Zerty, not only is he back at home with infantry units, it's going to be difficult for them to push forward. Having said that, has sent a group of lancers down in the south, broken through the palisades. And he's going to look to get a bit of a counter raid himself. Does clear that up, but largely infantry-based army will find it difficult to get across the map quickly enough. By the time they do, I have a feeling that Corvinus will have another army to get going again. Second town center has been upgraded to the Daimyo Manor. And he has upgraded the primary town center to the Shogunate Castle, which is such a great upgrade, by the way. It makes it so strong, not only in terms of economy, but in terms of the static defense. Look at the damage output. 81 rocket damage, 110 additional damage on top of that base for infantry and cavalry. Not to mention the 9 bow times 3 ranged attack, and he does get a great amount of HP on that thing as well. 13,000 HP. And that's just the fun bits. Take a look at the farms. That's going to be a 75% gather rate increase on those. There's going to get a keep in the middle. And take a look at the economy split. 34 on food, 33 on food. But take a look at the food income. Almost 700 food per minute extra coming in for Corvinus. Now, that is such a nice farming transition for Zerty as well. But you can just see the powerhouse of the Japanese farming economy when it gets to this spot. Now, speaking of powerhouse, he's going to go up with the Tanegashima gunsmith. He's done a lot of damage, right? You can understand the thought process for Corvinus. In his mind, he's done a lot of damage to eco to his opponent. So now is a relatively safe time to go to that Imperial Age. You kind of don't expect to be pushed too hard. Or even if you do, if you survive that push, it should be a good position. But he's got to survive, right? Because this is a menacing army. Especially when you factor in the 4 Nesta Bees and no anti-siege yet just for Corvinus. He will be having access to the Ozutsu, though. And this is a bit of a precarious position, right? Because Corvinus is going to find it difficult to pressurize this and actually take it out. When you factor in there are 4 Nesta Bees, if they're well protected, if they're in the midst of the army, it'll be difficult for Corvinus to get on top of that. And he's going to try to. The infantry do clash upon each other. The crossbows behind. That's going to be rough. Nesta Bees deploy. I mean, he's going to get kind of close up in them. It might get a couple of the Nesta Bees, possibly. But, I mean, so much damage has been done. A lot of these units do go down. A lot of samurai picked apart by the crossbows. The Jushi Legacy. The Jukanu take care of everything else. And, yeah, 3 Nesta Bees still alive. Wasn't able to do too much damage. A couple of Zutsu have popped out. They're trying to focus on the Nesta Bees. I mean, to be fair with the defender's advantage, he is reinforcing quite well, especially with the production speed coming out with the Yorishiro inside those production buildings. And the reinforcement's certainly helping. But again, it's a decent trade here for Zerty. But bear in mind, that Imperial Age will give him some benefits here, Corvinus, getting some upgrades likely. Not sure how many upgrades he's got so far. Does have elite upgrade for his Spearman. But this is rough because he's not able to produce quick enough. And this is a situation where Zerty might continue the pressure. Will lose his Nesta Bees though. That'll give Corvinus a bit of respite. As I say that, he won't lose that one actually. He keeps one alive, which is an issue. Again, getting some more production buildings, but it's all on the front, right? Which makes things a little bit difficult. But it isn't the range of the Shogunate Castle, which will do the rocket damage. So Zerty can't push any further, I don't think. Not without some rams, not without some trebs, which he could potentially build. He's looking to get the Sacred Site victory behind this, by the way. He's got all 3 Sacred Sites capped. That's been a great amount of gold income coming in to supply the army. Question is, can Corvinus hold? He does have more villagers. But with 3 relics and 3 Sacred Sites, that gold income is going to be bridging that gap very heavily. A big problem for Corvinus. He doesn't have the military numbers he'd want. 4 Nesta Bees just did so much damage. He's going to get Mangonel of his own to deal some damage against infantry, but a lot of Palace Guards sprinkled in there. They might be able to hold against the Mangonels. The farming economy might be next. I mean, this is buying time, to be fair. The production buildings, the concern is that, well, he doesn't really have the wood behind this to replace those buildings. This could be a nice spot for replacing those production buildings behind the farms, but then that'll leave the eco exposed. Kind of starting to steamroll a little bit here. Zerty might need to add in some more siege, though, to take production buildings a bit quicker. He's relying on the torch damage. Behind this, though, he might be solidifying his positions. Does have a keep in the south, getting a keep in the middle, and already has a keep in the north. Looking to get that Sacred Site victory. Looking a bit troublesome here for Corvinus, I've got to say. But with an Imperial Age tech up, there's still always a chance. Jushi's library, so it's going to go to the Imperial Age very soon, which is a really big problem for Corvinus because he's got a nice standing army, right? That can be upgraded pretty quickly. And then we talked about it. We talked about the importance of siege, and Zerty does have the first trebuchet on the field, but we immediately see roller shutter triggers queued up. So looks like Corvinus might be looking to get a couple of springalls on the field. Only 1 siege workshop for now, though. The concern for him is kind of struggling on wood. And all of a sudden, that food income is starting to build up. take a look at that. More farms added for Zerty, and so it's keeping up the food production. Similar village account in the end. A great game of Age of Empires 4 at the moment. I wonder what Corvinus has in store for us. Can he push this back? Now, I would say, by the way, one thing I've noticed about the Japanese, they very much remind me of the English. They're very hard to kill off. You have to have a lot of siege, take out production buildings. They have such a great economy, Japanese. They can push back. And also bear in mind their ability to produce units quickly. This game is by no means over. But he is against the clock. And that clock is ticking. 7.5 minutes on the Sacred Site victory timer. Trebuchets have to head back. Zerty needs to keep them safe and secure. Village count, still pretty healthy for Corvinus. That's the key bit of detail, by the way. So Zerty did take a lot of infrastructure, did take a lot of military units, but overall wasn't able to do too much damage to economy, and tried to get the economy damaged on the south. But this is a smart move, by the way, by Corvinus. Walling up in the south, although this is probably open, so it's got to be careful that units don't trickle in there. All of a sudden, I think Zerty's being a bit cautious. I mean, rightly so with 3 mangonels. It's going to look to just torch this down. Does have a Zutsu as well. They're going to be fighting on that keep, and these guys have a lot of damage output. 130 plus versus building on the base damage of 32. It's 162 in total. Got a good amount of range as well. Pretty adequately protected, I gotta say. Gonna get a keep of his own. Corvin is pushing back in the middle. Sends a couple of palace guards just to raid that wood line. I would love to see him re-wall this, by the way. In the south, though, we talked about this issue. It's open. Palace guard's going to trickle in, and he's got to wall that up. They might not be able to get too much of the farming economy considering the Shogunate Castle, but in the middle of the map, this is where Corvinus is looking to solidify his position. We'll need to decamp that Sacred Site, though. Going to send some units now. And all of a sudden, the Sacred Site victory win condition doesn't really seem possible. Going to kill some villagers on the gold mine. Corvinus has got to be careful there. It does pull them away. He's going to need to divert some units over to that area. And he's got to clear that up. But that keep is definitely going to be a nice standing ground for him to attack from. And he's just about to decap that Sacred Site. So he's back in the game. Looking to stonewall, but 2 palace guards just annoying on that front. Oh, the Shogunate Castle rockets, holy moly, they do a lot of damage. Katana Bannerman versus a palace guard. Katana Bannerman certainly wins, especially when you got the rockets firing over his head. Yeah, manages to take that unit out. Corvinus is starting to stabilize once again. Zerty wasn't able to do a killer blow. Does have a strong economy, strong bank of resources though. Just 3 palace guards being annoying on the houses. Might need to deal with that. Looks like Zerty wants to split up the map a little bit, getting infrastructure up to protect. I mean, there's a lot of stone here going to be mined out. It's certainly a big stone outcropping. Something Corvinus might not want to let happen, because stone is actually kind of crucial for keeps and static defenses. Although, with the Ozutsu on the field, it might not be a problem for the Japanese. A question in the chat whether that's a stone wall tower. It is indeed. So there is this running thing where stone towers are a little bit frowned upon. I mean, especially in the Feudal Age. It is in the Imperial Age, to be fair. But 3 mangonels can be destroying those palace guards. Zerty is going to have some indication of where the army is, and he seems quite content just to gather resources off the map in the south at least. Going to move further forward. One thing I'm a little bit concerned is Shore is going to get the gold in the middle. This might need to be protected as well on the west. Can I get a keep defensively? Zerty. This looks like to be the new battle lines. Battle lines have been drawn. Horsemen moving further forward, the scouts rather. Palace guards riding in, but with a couple of mangonels, that's a problem. The Springles do take a couple of out. They get sniped by the Ozutsu. The range of the Ozutsu really helping. There is an STBs behind the keep that is going up, and this is going to be a decent fight overall for the Japanese, especially when you factor in the Ozutsu. They're going to focus on the keep now. And it's going to be overrun here. Jushi Lexi struggling to hold on, especially with the mangonels. Crossbow numbers looking decent numbers. They're going to be working well against the samurai, but there's no real meat shield in front of them. And it feels like that's the big problem. The 2 Springles thought about coming to challenge the mangonels. They decide to head back home. Those palisade walls won't stand the Zutsu fire. And he's making inroads in. Does lose a lot of villages there on that gold vein, I'm afraid. Zerty, he's being pushed back. He's being pushed hard. He's lost 49 villages in the game so far. Corvinus starting to build up a bit of a push. Takes out the Jushi's library. Does have a bombard and 3 springles. I think this is actually going to be a nice hold, considering the siege that's on the field. He should be able to take care of the mangonels. He does. But with 4 springles, I mean, it's going to be a springle fight in the end. 2 versus 3. And it will be a fight that Corvinus wins eventually. But it was definitely a good pushback a little bit. Just mostly a Zutsu now on the field for the Japanese. No real meat shield. Oh, I love this play there by Corvinus. Look what he's doing. He's getting production forward. Means that the reinforcements are coming that much more quicker. The Katana Bannerman. Yumi Bannerman, rather. Going to be buffering up the Zutsu, by the way. Giving the extra 15% damage. It's something you really can't overlook as the Japanese. You've got to get the Bannerman out. He's been doing that all game. A decent number of elite crossbowmen still on the field. Palace guards in front. And the defender's advantage here for Zerty should let him hold. It's just a case of whether the push will be strong enough for Corvinus or not. It does have gold trickling in nicely in the middle of the map, being mined in. Wait, where is he sending the villagers? He's going to try and take the forward gold, right? It's as much about gathering gold as it is denying it. I'm not so sure about that situation, though. It doesn't feel like Corvinus has established control of this area. He's trying to push forward, but he's going to sacrifice villagers in the meantime. I mean, the Zutsu are getting so much splash damage. Look at the dead bodies of the crossbows. That is a problem. A couple of samurai heading forward, but the villagers do back away for now. I mean, it was always a bit of a risky move. He tried it. I don't think he quite has enough. The Zutsu are getting a lot of damage output, but eventually the defender's advantage. The unit's just trickling out for Jushi's legacy. They're going to take care of it in the end. And they did lose a lot, but you can see all the bannermen there. So many have died. And he's starting to regain control once again. Question is, can he get control of the middle? Can he push that keep back? Does have a bombard, which is going to be the first phase of that. Couple of Nesta Bees and a lot of siege. That's definitely going to be putting him in a good spot. There we are. Bombards are pushing them back. Lots of Palace Guard, lots of crossbowmen, but the mangonels will take care of those huge mangonel shots. He's got to be careful here, Zerty. He doesn't want to lose the units too easily. Just wants the siege to do its thing, wants the bombard to do its thing. But he feels the momentum. He's going to push hard as he can. A couple of Shinto priests healing up the Zutsu. They're going to have to retreat for now. Possibly will lose their springles if the Palace Guards get on top of it. They do just that. Takes out 1 springled. About to take a second. Mangonel's still working hard though. The Mangonel should be next. But it's fighting underneath a keep, which does have the rocket fire. But slowly but surely. Now with the second bombard out for Jushi's legacy. They should be able to take it out pretty quickly. Corvinus struggling to produce. They've got plenty of food banked up, but not enough wood, not enough gold. Finding it difficult for that eco balance. Zutsu being camped on, this is a problem. The Zutsu, they need a meat shield. A couple of samurai, but not enough. Palace Guard's going to jump right on top of that. And all of a sudden, 38 military versus 18. You feel the momentum swinging back once again. And all of a sudden, it's looking a bit of a problem for Corvinus. He was kind of a crazy situation, crazy game so far. Zerty pushed early. Corvinus held. Corvinus pushed forward and Zerty held. Now it's time for Corvinus to hold once again. He's continuing to produce buildings though. I don't know if this is necessarily going to be able to produce units to join the fight quick enough. It'll probably go down quickly. But what this does, it delays things, right? It buys time for Corvinus just to reestablish a bit of control of his economy. On the front line, on the economy, on that gold vein, that's going to be assaulted pretty soon. Palace Guards, not quite enough numbers. It's actually buying decent time. It's going full samurai versus crossbows, which is a little bit awkward. It might need to transition to something else at Corvinus. It helps against the Palace Guard, but the crossbows, they're not being protected on that choke point. That's such a great spot to fight there for Jushi's legacy. Going to get a keep there on the front, just to assert his dominance in the area once again. With 3 relics and 2 sacred sites, that gold has been a nice income for Zerty for sure. Production building is going to go down next. But only 19 military for Corvinus. He's really struggling to produce. Even despite the Yorishiro. I mean, he does get the Yorishiro again, by the way. So whilst the Yorishiro were deposited in the buildings, we'll be getting more Shinto priests with the Yorishiro to be able to deposit elsewhere. Not quite apparent where else he's put them. in any case. He's starting to be pushed quite hard. We'll lose the barracks in the end now, and this is a strong push for Zerty. I'd love to see him get the sacred site once again. But bear in mind, these crossbows, they are looking incredibly good at the moment. I'm not sure why it's bugging out like that. That's kind of weird. It must be kind of a debuff. In any case, there come the Palace Guards. Going to be jumping on the Bannerman. Oh, backing off for now, actually. The real problem for Corvinus is the siege that's coming in with the Springals and the 2 Bombards. That's going to be... oh, hello. Down the south, trying to get control of gold again. He did lose control in the middle, right? Of that gold. He needs to find another gold source, and this is certainly one of them. Zerty not spotted it just yet. The keep will go up, and there's not a lot of gold left, though. That's the big problem for Corvinus. It's going to be bled dry of gold, and that is a serious issue, I've got to say. This push here for Zerty could be the killer blow. Villager's trying to torch out, but I don't think it's going to work. The keep will go up, and he's got to back away. These keep have got rocket damage on them. He's got to back away. Oh no. He does back away for now. He's got to find another source of gold, at least 30, but the gold was pretty much taken, to be fair. So would have had to move out sooner or later, but he's got access to the gold in the middle and got access to the gold here. This is going to be a crucial spot, and we can see Zerty believes it too. He's going to get a keep. Sending some units in the north just to raid as much as he possibly can. In the middle of the map, though, he's starting to push heavily with the siege. A lot of Springwoods. This is a death push, actually. Corvinus has got to find a way to deal with the 2 Bombards. The trouble is, he can't rely on the Springwoods. That's a lot of Springwoods he's got. Does have a couple of his own here, Corvinus, but be difficult. I think maybe a Zutsu is the approach. Will he be able to get close to him, though? About to lose the Tanegashima gunsmith. And this is looking ominous. Equal military counts, but factoring Corvinus did lose quite a few villages himself. His eco is down to 91. But does still have an outpost, so even he can't get this gold freely. Look at the constant stream of units coming in. A line of red. Getting the gold in the middle. That might be actually what wins the game for him. Going to decap the sacred site. Wait, no, it's not. He should do. Going to get an outpost for that vision. Zerty playing it methodical now. The first push didn't quite work. Trying to make this one work, but he's going to lose a couple of the Springolds. Oh, that's rough. Because now that allows Corvinus to move forward with his Springolds. Fighting on top of the landmark. The 2 Bombards still alive. That's the main issue. He's got to keep those Bombards alive here, Zerty, if he can. 2 Springolds. About to take out one of the Bombards. That's a good start there. Izutsu in good numbers. Getting splash damage. He does have the Yumi Bannerman, which is definitely going to help in the fight. And all of a sudden, Corvinus is holding. Going to build up the Tanegashima gunsmith once again. Jushi Legacy have to back away. He's doing it, though. He's going to keep some of the units alive. Keeps one Bombard alive at least. All of a sudden, Corvinus pushing back again. And slowly but surely, as we head into the 40th minute mark of the game, the control over gold is going to be critical, right? It doesn't really feel like Corvinus has much gold at all. Mostly spamming out the 3 units from the Tanegashima gunsmith with the Ozutsu. She does have a decent number of them. Taking the fight. I mean, this is a fight that Corvinus should feel confident about. Especially with the splash damage coming out with the Ozutsu, with the Yumi Bannerman adding to the damage output. Palace Guards, though, they're going to be taking care of the meat shield. Needs to get more of a meat shield to Corvinus. Needs to protect the Ozutsu at all costs. The Palace Guards get on top of them. It will be difficult to come back from that, but he's kept it alive. The front line is starting to build up again for Corvinus. Zerty not be able to dominate that fight just yet. And Zutsu numbers looking strong. 52 military for him versus 36, and comes down to the Japanese powerhouse ability to just spam out units, and is doing just that, Corvinus. Zerty has to fall back to the keep, but overall, whilst he has been pushed back, not all is lost. Took out the keep in the south in the end, with the 1 ram. We'll have control of a little bit of gold back again if he needs to. Didn't actually decap that Seiko site, by the way, so the situation could have been a lot worse for Corvinus. He does still have a bit of gold trickling in from that. Palace Guards going north. Looking to break through once again in the south, and well, they're just coming out to torch down that ram. Which at this stage of the game, by the way, is not a bad play by Zerty, because I think the fact that he's had to idle villagers to torch that down actually hurts Corvinus more than just losing the wood cost invested in that ram. Especially when you got 1,200 wood in the bank. That's a lot of gold in the bank. Holy moly, 6,200. This is going to be rough. He's going to take the keep out in the middle. Maybe look to decap that sacred site. But here again, once again, Zerty pushing further forward. Look at the economy. Look at the bank of resources. Look at the food. Look at the gold. This is where things is going to be difficult for Corvinus. He's held a long time. He's held very well, but with the lack of gold, it feels like that is going to be what undoes him. Does him, rather. And I mean, he did a great pushback on the first push. Didn't quite manage to see out the game, and now he's not going to have control of gold. And yeah, this is looking rough for Corvinus. He'll be able to hold for a while, you feel. At some point, the lack of gold is going to hurt him. Might take a big misplay here by Zerty, but he's still got to finish the game. Look at the resources. Look at the military count, 88. I mean, there is a world in which Corvinus could potentially win. He'd have to win with trash units, lack of gold hurting him. One thing you bear in mind, though, is that necessarily at this stage of the game, you kind of need the gold mostly for siege, right? If the siege can stay alive, the Ozutsu can stay alive, he might be able to push back. It's just a case of whether Zerty can keep pumping out units to deny that. We talk about the Japanese flood, and I think now Zerty needs to get a flood of units of his own. He does have the production capabilities. And he's going to need it. Because there's 94 military on the field for Corvinus. He pushes back once again. But again, with the pushback, Corvinus really does need to get control of gold again. And Zerty is just mopping it up all off the map. He recognizes that, sure, Corvinus might be pushing back, but he won't have access to gold on the map. Oh, bombards are there. So the Nesta Bees. It's going to be Spearmen against mostly Palace Guards. And Palace Guards will win that. It's going to commit to some of the Spearmen on top of one of the Nesta Bees. But them being separated really helps. They're also going to clear up everything else more or less. The Palace Guards are going to try and get on top of them if they can. There's a lot of samurai coming in there. Corvinus holding firm with the Ozutsu, but a lot of the meat shield goes down there for the Japanese, and if they do go down, that'll leave the Ozutsu exposed. It does still have a couple of the bannermen, but they're going to be focused on by the keep. Fighting underneath the keep is not advised, and it does have an Nesta Bees as well. That frontline meat shield for Corvinus has been taken apart. Corvinus is going to leave his Ozutsu exposed, has to back away. But as he does, the Palace Guards are going to chase up, and they're going to keep hacking and slashing as many as he possibly can. All of a sudden, the push comes back again, once again, for Zerty. Ozutsu in healthy numbers, though. Feels like the Ozutsu are the ones that are stealing the show for the Japanese, holding the lines. Nesta Bees still alive, though. Not for long. Once again, Corvinus pushing forward. Zerty has activated that Sacred Site timer in the north. A couple of villagers going out south, in which Corvinus will spot, but I mean, does he choose to take the villagers? I'm not so sure. Might need to focus. Well, I mean, that's a lot of dead villagers. Holy moly. Maybe he does. Just got to be careful, though. 81 military, though, for Zerty. He's pushing back once again. And, I mean, it's kind of crazy how Corvinus has held for so long with so little gold. Looking to decap the Sacred Site in the north with the Shinto priest. In the middle, though, this is where the melee mosh pit is happening. Spin around on the back. Somehow they found their way onto the back of the Jushi's army. But I love the addition of the Shinto priest just to heal up some of the weaker Ozutsu, keep them alive as long as possible. Getting as much value. Bit of a raid in the north. Oh, that could be problematic if it's not dealt with. It is looking like it will be dealt with. Zerty building up once again. Now, bear in mind on the UI, just a message in chat, yeah, it is bugged for the Japanese, and the melee one is bugged as well, because they actually get slightly different techs. The Japanese with different names. They get actually 4 melee attack upgrades. So it just doesn't show on the Capture Age UI at the moment, I'm afraid. I think he has a decent of them, yeah. Oh, taking the fight in the middle. The Palace Guards are going to be fine there as a meat shield. There's also going to be possibly dealing a lot of damage as a splash damage, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Mostly Spearmen. The trouble is Spearmen. At this stage of the game, the Palace Guards will rip through them. They're not the most cost-effective units here at this point because they're going to be slashed by those palace guards. But it does buy him time for the Zutsu to get the damage output they need. Question is, will it be enough? Trying to get forward production once again, Corvinus. It worked well for him last time. I'm not sure if it worked well for him this time. Down to 54 military, and now that meat shield is dying. The lack of gold really hurting him. He's not be able to get any of those premium units. Relying on the spearmen, relying on the Zutsu to hold that front line. But with a bombard heading forward, that's going to be doing infrastructure damage once again. And slowly but surely, Zerty moving further forward. But the lack of armored units, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the Japanese for sure. And Palace Guard, holy smokes, the Zutsu though getting so much damage. Palace Guards continue to move further forward. I think at this point it's really difficult for Corvinus to hold because he's just got a Zutsu, but I've said that a couple of times in the game so far. And he's proven me wrong, but I'm not sure this time because the Palace Guards will get on top of the Zutsu. And I think if the Zutsu get taken down this time, it'll be very difficult to replenish them. It looks like that's exactly what Zerty is looking to do. Villagers on the wood. Wood is becoming a problem for Corvinus. They have to back away even further forward. And, well, with the army going down, that's going to leave the eco exposed. It feels like this is the last stand. The villagers coming out to repair the Tanegashima gunsmith, but they're going to be picked apart by the crossbows. Palace Guards walking in once again. Running in, I should say. And if the Palace Guards get on top of those Zutsu, that will be game over. Slowly moving forward. A couple of Nesta Bees. That wood line's being hacked and slashed. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of dead villagers. Corvinus is losing his economy now at this point. The first push for Zerty didn't destroy economy. It is now. Looks like the Nesta Bees unpacking on those villagers. They're trying to repair the gunsmith for as long as possible. But with the Nesta Bees, they has no choice but to back away. A couple of spearmen still popping out. Take a look at the Palace Guards though. Corvinus hasn't spotted it. It's going to lose a lot of villagers. And this probably is the death push. Probably is the final push. I've said that before though, so I could be wrong. Zutsu might be focusing on those units. Zutsu try to get as much damage as they can, but Palace Guards are going to start to collapse on them. Spread formation though for Corvinus will help. He's going to need more siege though, you feel, Zerty, because that Shogunate Castle is going to hold for now. But the addition of Nesta Bees definitely going to help. The Nesta Bees continue to fire off. I mean, there just doesn't seem to be all that much there now for Corvinus. He's going to struggle to hold on there. Quite a few crossbows. And now there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Corvinus taps out. It had to. Zerty asserting his dominance in the end. But a great game of Age of Empires 4. And if you've been watching on YouTube, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, do give the video a thumbs up. Take care and see you next time.